you have to be someone that can diplomatically navigate that delicate balance between individual and organizational needs.
Hi, it's John Bernatovicz, your host of the HR Like a Boss podcast. Welcome to Season 3. I've embarked on a journey to get to know amazingly awesome HR and business professionals with the hope of finding what it takes to do HR like a boss. If you like the show, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. On today's show, I am super excited to have a new friend to the HR Like a Boss podcast, Monica Brown. Monica was referred to me by a prior guest and a colleague of mine at Willery. And I'm super excited, Monica, to have you on the HR Like a Boss podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much, John. I'm excited to be here.
How would you describe the purpose of human resources? So I'm so curious what your response will be to that, Monica.
I think the purpose of human resources is really to ensure that the power behind the mission and strategy, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit of an organization, and by the power, I mean the people. You can't be successful without the people. Are really engaged and supported in a way that considers them as both people, so individuals and professionals, and that they're able to see how their contributions contribute to the overall success of the organization. And I think, you know, in doing that, the other part of human resources is really cultivating an environment where people do feel that connection to the mission and strategy, and that they feel both supported personally and professionally, challenged in their roles, and recognized for their work too.
One of the key points as we continue on this idea of partnerships is the importance of HR building those internally. And I'm curious how you've seen that evolve in your time at Cleveland Foundation as well as in prior stops within your career.
Yeah, it's evolved a lot in my, 17 years with the Cleveland Foundation. We used to be told that many years ago that we were a very reactive kind of group, and just kind of they only heard from HR when something was wrong or they had a payroll issue or something like that. And that's terrible, right? And so I think now if you ask the different partners across the organization, they would say they call us honorary team members in all of the teams because we spend so much time with them. So, you know, the point of all of that is if your team members, your colleagues, your department heads don't feel that you understand them and their work and their needs, it doesn't really build the trust that you need to have those successful partnerships. So we regularly attend other teams' meetings just to be there and learn and listen and ask questions. It's funny, every time people see an HR person, they instantly think of all the questions they've been meaning to ask you that they don't just pick up the phone and ask. So it's a great way for us to be there and stay connected. We do a lot of touch points throughout the year with staff and teams, and then we highlight their work at our all staff meetings as well. So just a couple examples there. But that's just the HR team. So the other teams that we've really built strong partnerships with and have really helped us be successful are one, I would say, is our marketing team, so kind of those other service functions across the organization. They've really helped us build a really nice employer brand and an employee communications platform that we wouldn't have done. We wouldn't have thought of all these creative things on our own. And, you know, our IT team builds specific apps based on our needs and what we want people to have easy access to. And it's really made a difference, especially since the pandemic, in helping people stay connected, not just to us and each other, but to our tools and resources across the organization. And then the other partnership I would say is really key is with the finance team. I think that pretty much goes without saying when you think of all the connections between HR and finance.
What are you doing creatively there at the Cleveland Foundation to support those hiring managers to find the right fit for the jobs that need to be filled and getting that right cultural connection to your organization?
Yeah, we've gotten really creative. I mean, aside from kind of the obvious use of staffing agencies when we're really struggling, or even consultants to get us through more short-term kind of needs, a year or two, the one thing that I think people overlook a lot are interns. And you probably know some of this just from working with YOU and their great work, but students today are incredible. And the skills and perspectives they have to offer, in addition to their savviness with technology should not be overlooked. I think a lot of times people think of interns as someone to help with admin things, and that's you're just so not using the talent there. And so we've really partnered with organizations like Cuyahoga Community College and our four-year institutions, not just with the career services teams, which are wonderful, but with specific faculty who are focused on academic careers where students might kind of fit the bill for some of our job openings. And so a lot of times you have to be creative and think, well, could I hire this senior part-time while he or she finishes her degree and then bring them on full-time? And so just being creative in that area. We recently did this with an investment analyst position where I think we had that position open for 5 or 6 months, and it was just really becoming difficult for the team. And so we did just that. We partnered with Cleveland State and a couple other colleges and ended up getting a student who was a senior. And for the first 6 months of his job, he was very part-time, 15 hours a week, but he was there enough to learn and grow so that he hit the ground running when he graduated this past June. So that's just an example of being creative. And again, I'm gonna give a shout out to all our community partners again. Don't forget about international talent. A lot of times people shy away from international talent, and we have a lot of it here in Cleveland because they're terrified of the visa process. I've been through it. It's not that bad. Once you go through it once, you get it. And it's really just a lot of waiting, paperwork and waiting. It's not as complex as people think. And folks at Global Cleveland are there to handhold employers through the process. So a lot of resources there. And then on the other end of the intern and youth spectrum are Encore folks. And so there are a lot of programs dedicated to Encore candidates, I guess you'd call them. We fund several of them, and it's not a plug for the Cleveland Foundation. There are many more. But these are retired professionals, and particularly for your nonprofit listeners, they are dedicated to just continuing to use their skills and be useful and share their talent back in a way that is meaningful to them, even though they're retired. And it's just a really great untapped resource. But the point of all my rambling is you really have to be creative and intentional about it and just be open to ideas and helping your hiring managers think about ideas that, maybe aren't so appealing at first, but are really great once you kind of just relax and are open to those different avenues for hiring.
And so I'm just so curious what you think is the definition of someone that does HR like a boss.
I initially thought of something really funny when I read this question that I saw online, and it was a definition of HR, and it had the noun human resources, and beside it, it said professional babysitter. But that's not really doing HR like a boss. It's just sometimes you feel like that when you're in HR. But I really think that you have to be someone that can diplomatically navigate that delicate balance between individual and organizational needs. I think you have to be people-centric and lead with empathy and really inspire others to do so. Personalities can be interesting and they're also diverse across an organization, but really wearing that empathy hat and helping other people do so can really cultivate a really great culture at an organization. And I think, someone that values relationships and trust building and is really good at it, because all the other things we can be trained on, right? Payroll, COBRA, compliance, enrolling somebody in benefits. Those are things you just learn on the job. But that people-centric focus and leading with empathy, that you have to bring that to the table. So I think that's how you do HR like a boss.
Monica, home run. Great job. You were amazingly awesome on the HR Like a Boss podcast. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the HR Like a Boss podcast. If it resonates with you, please leave a rating or review, or better yet, subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.